What's going on, guys? Nick Wood here. Guys, a couple years ago, I almost gave up on Rank and Rent. I almost quit Rank and Rent. And this is a true story. This is not something that I'm trying to like clickbait you in to keep watching. I almost just decided to throw in the towel on Rank and Rent. And I'm going to share why. Okay, I'm going to share why, and then of course, obviously, I didn't. And I'll share briefly how I kind of got out of that, but that's not the purpose of this video. The purpose is I almost threw the towel in on Rank and Rent. And so for those of you that have not started, I want you to listen to this. For those of you that have started and are thinking about throwing in the towel, I definitely want you to listen to this. And I want you to grab a couple nuggets and figure out where I went wrong and make sure that you avoid this. So backpedaling to December of 2019, actually go back further. I bought a program that taught Rank and Rent because I, like many of you, was sold on the idea of building digital real estate and renting it out for a fee. Love the concept. It clicked from day one. It made all the sense in the world. And a few short years later, I found myself with very little in terms of digital assets, and I had an SEO agency. I literally had a trade my time for dollars business, and I was making okay money, but with 3 kids, a couple cars, a mortgage, debt, it wasn't that much, and it was tight. And I was working a lot. I was working my butt off, and I kept thinking, you know what? I'm making way less than I used to make doing door-to-door sales. I'm working way more because I have to work the whole year, and I'm busting my butt. I'm dealing with clients, and I'm dealing with all this stuff. And I was toast. And my business consisted of, I say it was just SEO, but it was a combination of SEO, and my Rank and Rent had nothing but pay-per-lead clients. Okay. And it's funny because every time I refer to the story, I always just say I had an SEO business. And the reason why is because it felt like I didn't have any Rank and Rent clients, which the funny part is if you go back and you look at like my Stripe account and you look at the clients I had on board at the time, I actually had a fair amount of clients, but they were on a pay-per-lead model. Okay. And this is the key part of the story is when you have clients on a pay-per-lead model, I'm not going to go super deep into this, but when you have clients on a pay-per-lead model, you are going to see what emotional roller coasters are all about. Okay. You are going to have days when you are like, oh my gosh, we just made, an extra $1,000 or we just made $500 extra or whatever on paper, right? You still got to get the business owner to agree that those are good leads and make sure they still pay you and don't go bankrupt and all these things. I've had all those things happen to me. But you'll have days when you're ecstatic. You're like, man, this is so good and spring is awesome and we're making so much money and blah, 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 blah. But let me tell you what, winter always comes, okay? And if you are like most people, this is a great, Rank and Rent it works really good for home service niches. And that is things like concrete, that is things like tree service, that is things like duct cleaning, that is things like insulation and all these things, right? Handyman, whatever, you name it. And in the winter, those things slow down dramatically. And so when you are on a pay-per-lead model, those things slow down and so does your revenue. And so what happened to me is I had gone and I, thought that I was crushing it. It was like spring, summertime, and I started piling on PPL clients, pay-per-lead clients, and just making all the money in the world, being on top of the world, right? And because of that, I went and started hiring people. And I got an office, and I did this, and I got bills, and I had this. I had all these things going on. I thought I was crushing it. And guess what? Winter came, and my revenue did this, okay? And I barely squeaked through that first winter. And I went the whole next year, but guess what? I forgot really quickly because as soon as winter got through, let's call it March, things started to pick up a little bit and then they got a little bit better. And then I thought, you know what? I'm making money again. This isn't that bad. And before you know it, 2019 rolls around and my revenue dips and another winter comes. And so in December of 2019, and it's funny, I actually just realized this. I always refer to the story and say I had an SEO agency, but I had a lot of pay-per-lead clients. Like I had some big pay-per-lead clients, but in my mind, I keep forgetting that I even had pay-per-lead because it didn't feel like business because I was making no money from it. And so as I look back on the story, there's 2 things. Number one is I went down the shiny object syndrome path, which is one of the things that I feel like is very easy to do in this business as you're waiting for sites to rank. If you do the rank and rent instead of rent and rank, But the other thing is I went and structured all these deals on a pay-per-lead model. And because of that, I almost lost my shorts. The first year, I didn't wisen up. And the second year, I did the same thing. And I waited for the winter. And that was a cold winter. That was a winter where I was like, you know what? I don't know if this is the model. I do not know if this is the model. I can't keep doing this. I can't keep going through the winters. There's not enough money to hold all of my employees through the winter. And that's when I almost just threw in the towel. Luckily, I took a day or a couple hours and I really sat down and looked at my goals. And I realized that for me to get to my goals, which my goal at the time was to make $100,000 a month. And I realized in order for me to do that, I had to own my own business. And I'm like, there's something with this Rankin Rent. I know I could figure it out, but it's got to and so I looked at all of my clients, and I had these pay-per-lead clients, I had these SEO clients, and I had, I think I had one client at the time, maybe it was two, and it wasn't a lot of money, but I looked at it and I was like, you know what about this little guy over here? And I dusted that one off, and I'm like, I forgot about that one because I haven't really had to call that one. And I started looking at it. I'm like, that's interesting. That deal is a flat fee deal. That's got to be the answer. I haven't talked to that person in months. I've almost forgot I had that as a client. And so that is the moment in 2019 where instead of quitting, which I almost did, I went all in on flat fee. And the thought process was, hey, I may not have the upside of the PPL or the what I think is the upside of the PPL, but I'm going to just focus on flat fee deals, and I'm not going to focus on SEO, and I'm going to focus on owning the property, but doing it on a flat fee. And that means that when the winter comes, I'm going to make the same money as I'm going to make in the summer and the spring and the fall. And yeah, I might lose a little bit of upside, but you know what? At least I'm not going to lose my shorts in the winter. And so 2020, the beginning of 2020 was the year I said, I'm going all in on flat fee. And it started as I'm going all in on flat fee. And then it led to, let's test out, this website that isn't quite ranked. It's producing a couple leads. Let's put some ads on it and let's speed things up. And that led into, hey, we can actually pre-sell these things. Just make sure we sell them for a flat fee and not a pay-per-lead. And so guys, I want to say that for those of you that maybe went down the commission path or the pay-per-lead path, or heaven forbid you're stuck with an SEO business or a website development business or design or whatever, don't give up on Rankin Rent, okay? The problem isn't the model. The problem is you're doing the wrong monetization strategy. You're doing pay-per-lead or you're doing commission, when the answer is very, very simple: flat fee deals.